Top voice segment on the show this week. Stephen Erlanger, who's the chief diplomatic correspondent of New York Times, joins me live from Berlin. Steve, thank you so much for taking out the time, speaking to me on NDTV. The first question is that there is a very limited window that exists right now when it comes to peace, and it's not critical minerals now, it's expanded to energy infrastructure, and largely it's about protecting American energy interests, isn't it?
Well, to be honest, it's a little bizarre because Ukraine's nuclear power plants are owned by the state. Zaporizhia, which is the one in question, is being occupied by the Russians. So first you have to get agreement from the Russians to leave, which is a whole other problem. And then if it's going to be returned to Ukraine, why should America have it? I mean, Westinghouse has been involved with helping. So it's possible Westinghouse could continue a contract, but Trump's idea seems to be if the Americans own it somehow or own mining in Ukraine, it will help prevent Russia from invading again. But Americans were involved and American businesses were involved before the Russians invaded in February 2022. So it just seems to me that's not much of a security assurance.
Stephen, how does it reflect on the Trump administration, which was really pushing for a broader ceasefire and had invested enough and more political capital in getting there?
I think you're correct. I mean, to be honest, the Russians don't really want a ceasefire. And the Ukrainians don't really want a ceasefire either, not this kind of ceasefire. The person who wants the ceasefire is Donald Trump. And, you know, he's bent the Ukrainians to his will by, for a period of time, denying them crucial intelligence and targeting information. As Keith Kellogg said, hitting them over the head with a 2x4 like a mule. He has no such 2x4 to hit Putin in the head. He has less leverage with Russia. And I don't think Putin will, easily go along. I mean, Putin wants to delay all this. He certainly wants to delay any serious negotiations until Russia takes back all the territory of Kursk, of Russia itself, that Ukraine now occupies. Now, it's almost done, but it is not yet done. And I think Putin will never go into serious negotiations until Russia has restored sovereignty over its own territory.
Okay. But military momentum is clearly with Russia right now, and it has no incentive whatsoever to agree to any ceasefire. Do you agree?
Well, first of all, let's get to a ceasefire. I mean, right now, they've only agreed to a 30-day cessation of attacks on each other's energy infrastructure, and that's not very much. So we've got a long way to go. If we're going to get a serious settlement, it'll be very complicated. If we're simply going to have a frozen conflict, the way we have, let's say, in Cyprus or North Korea, South Korea, that's a different argument. But at least the Trump people are on the record as saying they want a settlement with Ukraine that preserves Ukraine as a sovereign nation and provides it security guarantees. Now, that's their public position. They also say Ukraine won't be part of NATO and would have to give up some of its territory, which will be hard for Ukraine to swallow. But if it is in return for serious security guarantees and real sovereignty, then maybe Ukraine can wear it. But I think we're a far distance from that. So we may end up, much as you suggest, with a kind of frozen conflict. Russia has the upper hand, but frankly, it has gained so little territory in the last 18 months, and it's done so at the cost of so many thousands of its own soldiers and North Korean soldiers dying. It's hard to say that's a great success, to be honest.
All right, Stephen, thanks much for speaking to me. It's not peace, but frozen conflicts that could really be the outcome of these negotiations.